There's quite a lot of talk in sort of these kinds of circles of awakening, and not really a term I use. I so often when I hear people discussing that term in these kinds of meetings, it's often described in the past tense. My awakening, like something that happened some other time. And I could certainly talk about events in my life that I would think of as seminal moments of um, understanding and insight, but I'm interested in talking about and pointing to what's happening right now, not what happened in some imagined past, because this is the only thing we can actually really talk about. I mean, we can talk about our past, of course, and we do as humans, but for our purposes, I really want to explore what's here. And the past really is an abstraction. And we could say, in the case of awakening, that, well, before I say anything, let me just emphasize that the essence of what I'm sharing is the absolute impossibility of saying what this is, the impossibility of determining what's happening conceptually, putting it into any kind of frame of reference. This is, the more you look, the more it will become apparent, if it hasn't already, that what's happening here, even though we have countless ways of seeming able to characterize it and describe it and talk about it, it is utterly, utterly, utterly beyond comprehension and conceivability, and language, of course, too. But it seems that that said, it seems that there can be certain, I don't know, shall we say, kind of primal seeming characteristics of what's present that can highlight and help us to see the way in which everything is of the same fundamental nature. And that's the discovery of what can never go away, what can never be taken away, can never be lost, the unconditioned can never be lost because it is everything. To know from that standpoint, the discovery of that which is everything, the basis of everything, is so beneficial in so many ways, but certainly from the standpoint of revealing that no experience, no set of experiences or circumstances will take us away from this fundamental reality, this ground of everything. Nor will any particular experiences or circumstances bring us closer. Both of those. We could put it another way. We could say every experience is bringing us closer because every experience is none other than the fundamental absolute reality. God, if you'd like. So this term awakening, as I started off mentioning, I was feeling this very strongly this morning, that everything is awake. It's not hiding, is it? The wakefulness that is here is obvious. It is staring us in the face. It is not even subtle. It is what is occurring right now, the wakefulness of this moment. This moment is here. That's its wakefulness. It's present. That's its wakefulness. In that sense, in a very, very, very real sense, everything is awake. Every moment is awake. It's impossible to depart from this wakefulness that is literally shining forth and being all moments, this wakefulness, inseparable from all moments. All there is the knowing of each instant. This is so actually clear, right? This is this wakefulness. What could be clearer? We don't need to go any particular place to find the wakefulness, because it is spread everywhere. It is everywhere we go. This is what we find. We find the wakefulness. We find awake. We could say we find ourselves awake. We find the moment awake. We find nothing else but that. The moment awake. The moment shining brilliantly. There's no explanation for this wakefulness, none whatsoever. How this moment is awake and being known. But here it is. The moment, the appearance of the moment is the wakefulness of the moment. And clearly something is appearing, and we could call it awake. The shining of each instant. We are never apart from this. It's not possible to be apart from this. This is the most intimate thing. We're in such intimate, close contact with this. We are this wakefulness. That's how intimate it is. Everything is this wakefulness. And it's not requiring, you can feel this right now, that it's not requiring any doing on any of our parts to bring this about. No disciplined practice to create and sustain awake, to sustain the wakefulness. It's self-sustaining, isn't it? This sentience, this knowing. It's just here. It's just here as a gift. It's the gift, right? Awake. Without it, there are no gifts. It is the gift, being awake. So awakening, what does it have to do with the past? This is the awakening. This is awake, period. There's no possibility of being distracted from this wakefulness. What would that look like? Where do you go to be distracted? We might say, well, we drift off into sort of thinking and cognition and interpretation. That is awake. Thought is awake. Feeling is awake. Sensation is awake. So there's no distractions. Anything that we might conceive of as a distraction is awake. The knowing of the moment that we describe as a distraction. There is the light shining as that moment that we're describing as distraction, right? Or the notion of there being obstacles somehow to seeing this. Obstacles? What would that be? What would an obstacle be? It would be some phenomena that we're characterizing, describing, conceiving as some obstacle to seeing this wakefulness. But there's the obstacle being perceived. There's the wakefulness right there. You see, there's no obstacles. There's just the brilliant light of this wakefulness shining forth as everything, shining within everything. anything we perceive of as a, as I said, as a distraction, as an obstacle, as a something pulling us away from this understanding, we can't be actually be pulled away. It may seem like it, for sure. It may seem like I've lost touch with that wakefulness, that bright light of wakefulness. But there's nothing but the bright light of wakefulness. Really, what else is there? There's all the different ways that bright light of wakefulness can appear, right? Just like in the movies, you know, the light of the projector can appear like the infinite number of ways it can seem to appear, right? But none of the appearances depart from the light, and none of the phenomena of life depart from life. None of the phenomena depart from this wakefulness. So that's it. There's nothing standing in the way. There's nothing nothing standing in the way. It's not hiding, is it? It's shining in plain view. What's being seen? Nothing's hidden. This moment, exactly as it is the awakening, is the wakefulness. It's all we actually ever know. And of course, what it is, as I started out to say, is I'm using this word awake, but what that actually is can't be said, of course. But somehow the word captures something of the flavor of this that's here, this sense of something being here, right? This is the basic sense of life, is the sense of something here, the presence of here. That this is just the most fundamental thing, right? The sense of experience, you could say. And the wakefulness is just one way to describe that, because here is awake by definition. That's how it's here, right? It's being known, it's being cognized, it's being perceived. There's no experience without the perceiving of the experience. It's like they're just two words for the same mystery. Experience, the perceiving, they're not two things. Let's feel the absolute ease of this wakefulness, the absolute unboundedness of it, the absolute mystery of it, the absolute power of this. It is the power underlying everything, we could say, this wakefulness. It's potent, it's alive, it is the aliveness of everything, the vibrancy of everything. Separate from nothing, nothing outside of it. There's nobody who has this, and that way it often is framed, you know, in these sorts of environments. There's somebody, you know, the one who's in the position of teaching somehow has this, and you somehow don't have this. That's just a complete fantasy. This is what you are. This is what you have. This is what is. It's just the way it's just here. It's not the property of anyone, not the possession of anyone. Reality is what it is. awake reality. And we already know this, don't we? We already know this wakefulness. We really don't know anything else. We know this wakefulness that much. We're that intimate with it in every moment. But we may just overlook that we already know this wakefulness because here it is. Here we are awake. We know it so intimately, as I was saying. We know it intimately because we are it. The being that we feel ourselves to be is awake, the wakefulness. Everywhere we go in the field of experience, this is what we find. This is why it can't be missed. It's what is being found in each instant. We could say, oh, we happen upon a thought or a feeling or a sensation or a memory, but we could also say equally truly that we're happening upon the wakefulness that looks like a thought, that looks like a feeling. But we're always happening upon the wakefulness that shines as everything, that appears as everything. And it's just a word, awake, but it seems to capture something of the quality of this, the fragrance of this that knows. For really all there is the knowing of this.